kind of like
I don't
desperate
think
for a
we
player
are though. I think
at this current moment. Like I'm not talking like when AD comes back.
Even then, I don't. Like I think the perception is that we're desperate. I think that,
and that's why other teams want to play us.
Yeah,
and
I
like,
think,
oh yeah, you need the pieces, so give us 2 first. Like you can,
I think that's the perception amongst a lot of fans, other teams, and maybe even part of the front office might look at it as desperation. But I don't think we are, and the reason for that is like we've shown without like 5 of our key guys this season that we can still win games and be competitive and compete with the best of them. That's not a desperate team. Like that's a good team,
fair.
right? Yeah. And then Anthony Davis comes back. Like I said, you get a piece, you get a quality piece or two. The consensus is, and this is the biggest reason why I think teams want to gut the Lakers, is because I think the teams kind of feel, I don't necessarily think they believe the Lakers are desperate. I think that they believe if we trade them these pieces, there is a very good chance the Lakers win the championship. The West is very wide open. Anthony Davis is playing like the best player on the planet. LeBron James has shown that he's still LeBron James. LeBron and Russell Westbrook right now are carrying a bunch of scraps and actually staying alive and relevant while Anthony Davis is out. If we trade them, again, just using this as an example, if we trade them Bojan Bogdanovic and Alec Burks, those two with Russ and LeBron are good enough to get them into the playoffs. And then you add Anthony Davis, they might be one of the best teams in the league, right? Like that's how I think teams are. That's why I think teams want to gut them, because no team wants to be the Memphis Grizzlies and trade them the missing piece that wins multiple championships, right? Like no team wants to be Grizzlies trading Pau Gasol to the Lakers, and now the Lakers win, are in 3 straight titles, or in finals, 3 straight finals. But that's what I think. Yeah. I don't think it's a desperation thing. I think it's more the perception is like they're not that far off. And that's why I don't think that if they do look at it as a desperation, they shouldn't. They shouldn't. But what were you going to say, sir?
But no. But my thing is, with some of these teams, if the teams are trying to tank this year anyway, I understand not giving them that piece that helps them win. Like, I mean, hey, if you start a dynasty, you should be kicking yourself in the foot. You should be like, yeah, we probably should have given that one out. But like, just if we win it like a championship this year, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those like a tanking team giving us those pieces. It's kind of like, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, we did that, but we were trying to tank anyway, and it sucks. You're right, but you make a good point, because if we're competing with the best teams in the West right now, yeah, the West isn't amazing this year, but they're okay. So it's like, you kind of wonder like how are we really going to fare up against like the East Coast? Like, let's say, all right, a team trades us the pieces we need, we get to the finals. Like, you got to like, yeah, that would suck. That would suck.
The only teams in the league that I'm like, man, they would be like right now. I'm not talking about. I'm saying like no trades, no nothing. Just right now, the Lakers currently constructed. The only teams I look at and go, man, I don't know if we could beat them in a 7-game series is Boston and Milwaukee. Those are the only.
That's fair. That's fair.
Those are literally the only 2 teams that I look at and go, I don't think we can beat them in a 7-game series. There is not a team.
I feel like Dallas will be a tough series, though. I feel like I'm not saying we couldn't beat them.
I think a lot of the guys they're going to be too Luka reliant. Like I don't. There's not a team in the West that I look at currently constructed, assuming Russ, LeBron, and AD are healthy. Like let's say the playoffs start next week. AD's coming back.
Yeah,
we're in the playoffs. Dallas, I don't think Dallas can do anything. Memphis, I don't think is there yet. Still. I think that
I'm more concerned about Dallas than
don't need their lumps. It's the same exact things that I said about last season, and all of it came true. Everything I said about Memphis last season all came true, and I still feel the same way this season. The Warriors are the Warriors, so they're tough. You got to watch out for them if you play them, but that's just because they have the championship pedigree. But Pelicans, I still think same thing as the Grizzlies. They're young, they're inexperienced. If push comes to shove, they're going to get exposed. That's what ends up happening. Again, I like Denver. We always have Denver's number. Like whether we have AD or not, it always seems like we have a chance to beat them. So I'm not really worried about that. Like there's nobody in the West that I look at and go, man, there's no way we can beat them in a 7-game series. Does that mean that we can beat everyone? Is maybe not, probably not. But I don't think that there's like if the Lakers walk is probably the wrong word. But let's say the Lakers won the West, I don't think anyone would be surprised. Like as the Lakers are currently constructed, because it's like, yeah, that makes sense. The West isn't really that good. They have Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and Russell Westbrook, so they probably should win the West, right? Like if you just look at those three, so. Yeah. I'm not really worried about that. Like I said, the only concerns that I have are the Bucks and the Celtics. I look at those two teams and I'm like, they're so far ahead of everybody that I don't think that I'm not saying we can't. LeBron could just turn back the clock one last time. AD could be an absolute monster. Like you never know. Like never say never. We've seen stranger things, but I just look at them and go, man, I would feel very uncomfortable if we played one of those two teams. If we played any other team, for whatever reason, if the Sixers ended up coming out the East, I'd be like, Lakers are winning the championship. Let's go. If we were to come out the West. But like if we did come out the West and we played Milwaukee, I'd be like, oh, I think we lose that series in like 5 or 6. If we played Boston, I'd be like, we probably lose that series in 6. Like that's just kind of my thoughts right now. But the right trade, the right move or two, then that could change everything. And now all of a sudden you're in the position to where it's like, okay, well now I'm not really worried as much about Boston. I'm not worried about as much. I don't think we're that far off is kind of my point.
No, we're not. Like, now if we were in the Rockets position right now, I would say, okay, yeah, like it's time to just like kaboom the whole thing. But like, we're not like, well, we're really not that far. It's weird because we're so middle of the pack kind of ish, sort of, because we're just a couple games away. But it's just,
but everyone kind of is, at least in the West. I mean, you look at
that's true. It's not that far, yeah.
Like the 5th through the 13th seed are all like 2 or 3 games apart. Like that's like yeah. So it's not like anyone's really night and day ran away with it. So that's the thing. Like, look. If we had Anthony Davis this entire stretch, I think we're like the 3rd or the 4th seed right now. The way we have played, like Anthony Davis never got
hurt. At worst, the way we were 4th or 5th.
Yeah, I at the very least, I think we're a playoff team. Bare minimum, we're in the playoffs right now. Like but I look at, granted, hindsight is always 20/20. But I look at like if everyone was healthy, Davis was playing the way that he was playing, LeBron and Russ playing the way that they're playing right now. The other guys are playing the way, like I think we would have been rocking and rolling. All these other teams just keep losing. I don't think we would have had this back and forth with these other teams. And I really think the Lakers would be in a position right now where it's like, oh wow, like okay, like we're legit in the playoffs. We're top 4 seed. I think we'd be probably 7 games over 500 by now. Like I think we would. I just think we'd be in a much better position than what we were or what we are right now. And instead of fighting for our lives, we'd be, I think worst case scenario, our record is flipped. So instead of 20-24, I think we're 24-20. And so like that would put us at, we'd be basically we'd be tied for the 4th seed, or in a half a game out of the 3rd seed. So that's what I'm saying. Like even with our poor start, this team is a playoff team. Like they are. If everyone's healthy, this team is at least a playoff team. As much as people like to clown and say, "Oh, like the Lakers aren't even a play-in team," da 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 da. Like the Lakers are only 2 games out of a playoff spot right now, and they haven't had Anthony Davis for the last like month and a half. LeBron's missed games. They don't really have much talent. Austin Reeves is out. Lonnie Walker's out, and we're still only 2 games out of the playoffs. You're telling me that if everyone was healthy and Anthony Davis was here, we wouldn't be in the playoffs? Of course we would.
Yeah, no, of course we would. No question about it.
Yeah, we'd be one of the top teams in the West, hands down. So you look at that, and I just don't know why the Lakers wouldn't want to do a trade. But that's kind of like my big argument for like why you should do something. Because with Anthony Davis, you're probably a top 4 or 5 team in the West. And you go make a trade or 2, you're probably the best team in the West. So, I mean, if you're top, let's say you're top 4 Like, right? Like, okay, you're top 4 right now. You're telling me if you go get Boyan and Alec Burke that they don't make you at least top 2, that they don't move you 2 spots ahead? Of course they do. So
Yeah.
I absolutely think like I don't know why the Lakers